Hello, 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 and welcome to Emerald Thoth with me, Mark. Looking to get you some messages today on the things that you need to hear. And no messages at the beginning of the reading. Today I thought I'd do something a little different and use a pull from the Divine Masters to look at the different areas of the four different realms that make up most of how we see the world. So, in your body, in your mental mind, in your emotional mind, and in your spirit, just to see who's guiding you there and what any additional messages are from spirit. So I'll have a look in the Divine Masters and pull 4 different cards for those different areas. Start with the body, the spirit, the mental mind. Okay, and then the emotional mind. Okay, at the bottom of the deck is Serapis Bay Paradigm Shift. Activation to grow, make the necessary change. Okay, a powerful message. I'm going to put that card at the centre of this reading. It's quite a strong message. Like a crown on your head, but a very spiritual based crown, all the lights, all the chakras, the sense of balance in here, and an activation for growth. So let's see on the different realms who's guiding you. In the body and in the physical realm is Green Tara, healing light, wellness, unfolding, know that healing is a journey. So in your body you're healing, you're updating, you're activating, you're feeling that compassion for yourself and others and how you embody it and how you move in the world with it. You're unfolding in this sense and you're embodying that divine love and light. So let's see what's guiding you in the mental realm. Okay, Melchizedek, divine knowledge. Higher learning, commit to your vision through study. So it would make sense for something like Melchizedek to be guiding you in the mental realm. You know, things like sacred geometry or just information that is not so much in the conscious 3D mindset. You're committing to learning higher things on this journey as you activate and as you grow and as you shift. In the emotional realm, the Atlanteans, evolution, vibration, legacy, technology, progress, acceleration. So this speaks to a lot of intuition in there, like a lot of indigo, kind of third eye chakra. Links to maybe previous lifetimes or versions of yourself, and you're feeling that within your vibration. You're accelerating, your heart is expanding. That would go with Green Tara as well in the healing light. So you're growing as a healing, compassionate light being. You're remembering parts of your past and you're accelerating. You're growing with these necessary changes and your heart expanding as part of that. And then in your spirit, Lady Venus, light activation. Call to action, power surge, earth mission. So it's a sense of a divine power, a divine strength, a divine will, a drive for you to start enacting this more. And you have been enacting this more, you've been feeling these activations, a lot of elements of love in here, in the body and in the spirit. And to be this compassionate, evolving being, and you have these different guides with you, you're lighting up in a sense. And you're looking to get everything in balance as you evolve, as you shift your own paradigm, and as the paradigm of this earth is shifting. Okay, let's get something from the Time Travelers Oracle to support. 2 cards flipped out. Number 34, Purification, the Ganges River, India. You could have a call to India at the moment, or just in general, this does speak to a purification. For this vessel to hold this light, this healing light, to have all of this really, is calling for a purification of yourself to the holy waters that are in the Ganges. I mean, it wouldn't look, if you looked at it, it looks like a dirty river, but if you know the history behind it and the sacred elements to it, then there's a sense of you being purified. And elements of the sacral chakra from the orange on the card. Maybe there's a place you need to go for this, or maybe it's within yourself, wherever you are. You can do it through help externally, and you can do it through help internally with yourself. But it's asking that you purify your vessel to hold all this light and energy. And the other card that came out is growth. Number 18, the Amazon rainforest. This kind of black leopard, puma individual here, panther kind of type. It's a bit, it looks like a black leopard, but it gives the energy of like a panther, of shadow work, of being strong and being aware and cooperating with your darkness. And it's very luscious and abundant as well in the rainforest. It's very natural, like what's behind me. So you are growing to make those necessary changes, and doing it in a lot of awareness and divine knowledge. The bottom of the deck was abundance. And that's what's on the road for you as you purify and as you grow. Messages from the urban crows. Okay. So, first card that wants to come out is release. Now, similar to grief yesterday, number 39, release. And this is you releasing the past, releasing what no longer serves you, rising and ascending in this vessel. And as soon as you start to release more of what isn't serving you, and you'll know it sometimes just takes time, you know, especially if it's in love or it's a career that you really want. The more that you want something, the less it kind of is drawn to you. You know, you can want something, and it's right to want things as well, but you have to then release and let it go, especially if it's not working, because that means something does need to shift. And that would need to start within you and your perception. So this is probably you releasing old perceptions, old ways of thinking, to rise into the new. After that, this flipped out is gifts. The universe wants to give you gifts. This card just flipped out as if it wanted to be known, number 21. And in a sense, when I last saw this card a few days ago in a reading, I looked at it and it was saying to give gifts, to share your gifts, and that still applies, but this is receiving gifts in this sense and in this read. It's as you purify and as you grow and as you do it in aligned fashion with the universe, it wants to give you these gifts. You just need to take the actions with everything that you're embodying. Also, at the bottom of the deck is bond, number 6. So it's asking you to be in union with yourself, and there will be bonds with others along the way. But who do you want to bond with? Because if you're not as purified or growing as much as you would like, then someone else is going to be in the same place who you're going to draw in and who you bond with. And it's a case of, are you able to grow together? And that's perfectly valid as well, and the right way to do things. Or is that going to stunt your growth? Do you need time apart to come back together, or do you need somebody else? And I think the amount that you're showing up for you, and the amount that you believe in yourself and what's calling you in a higher sense, then the higher that connection and those connections around you and those bonds that you have with people on this earth and the work that you do as well, not just people, will increase, will vibrate higher. But it just depends on if you want to do the work, if you want to go through the pain and suffering to grow, because growth requires pain and suffering. For something new to come in, something old will have to go. It's karmic laws of the universe. And so you would need to release some things, and that can be ideas and thought patterns. But then what can come in is much brighter and more fulfilling, possibly, than you could have expected, more evolved than you could have previously thought. You just have to follow the guidance and the call. I was also thinking today about soul strands and how we, so here come the messages. So how we look at DNA, and we look at DNA in a very physical form, and it's a very complex network of strands of DNA, and that's what makes up kind of a human person. And we can then look at how people think mentally and emotionally, and we talk about nature and nurture, and we look in psychology and the complexity of the mind within that. But what is yet to be talked about as much in this world, and there is quantum mechanics and the physical, in physics, that talks about, but it's still limited in science at the moment. The way we can talk about this is soul strands, that you are one part of your soul strand. Your soul here is one part of infinite multi-dimensional soul strands and versions of yourself as such, or others, or everything going back to source. And that within our soul strands are past lives and interdimensional beings that we have. It says that there's an infinitely complex parts of us that are a soul and abstract. And if you think that DNA is in the micro, almost the invisible, like a whole universe underneath the microscope, then the macro, the things that are almost unseeable and completely abstract to our mind thinking, would be things like soul strands. And so the more you are linked to that and that higher vibration, the more you would be called to these different kind of strands. Let's have some messages from the ancestors. Okay. The first card out was the Martyr, Sacrifice and Self-Reflection, which has been coming out quite a lot recently. And that could be talking about this purification process, you being in this sense of clearing out space for things to come in. The original Hanged Man relates to Odin, and Odin went to a tree, and he, whether that was the tree of life or he went to a certain tree, but he hung himself upside down and he took out one of his eyes, and he essentially died. He got to the point of death, and then when he came back, he had what was essentially the vision for the runes, and basically a higher knowledge. So, and connection with the divine, and the symbolism in that is that you can see with the divine. I think Angsu's the rune that goes like this is typifying that sense of higher knowledge and vision, and that takes sacrifice. So anybody who's on this path, on this journey, it only takes that sacrifice. And even me saying earlier that you're changing perspective and you're releasing old perspectives for new things to come in, and the karmic laws. And so when you shift perspective, then you can get different views or visions. If you want to stay in the old ones, then you can, and you'll get what you always get. It always makes me think, though, again, of turning up this card, so maybe in a state of finding everything that you need here and then turning it up and shining it out. With that came the twins, conscious connections, equivalent to the lovers. The sun and the moon on this card, a sense of a divine mother. There's normally an angel, normally Archangel Raphael maybe, or Gabriel, depending how you look at it on the lovers card, guiding divine union. And that again can be within yourself, it can be in connections romantically, it can be connections with others in general. There's a childlike innocence in this particular card, because these are two younger beings, and in a spiritual sense, or to the universe, you may be a baby, really. You are to the divine mother a baby always, as you may be to your own earth mother as well, but in that divine sense also. There's talks of bonds and unions here, and people who you are going to meet, choices that you have to make. So as you grow after this purifying, the universe will give you gifts and choices and options. It's what choices you want to make, and how aligned with you are with that, and how you're following the calling is how those things will come in alignment. Also with those two was creature of water, creative expression, which is the Knight of Cups. Again, this talks about movement and flight, and that mixed with purification in there. You're moving with your ideas and your emotional space. There's an evolution in that emotional space. I think it's a case of you may have come to a sense where you've balanced yourself emotionally, you've learned a lot of lessons emotionally, and now you move with them, such as turning up this martyr. So it's kind of getting the waters to move and to flow and to find the connections that go with that. Of course, this relating to Libra as well, and this relating to Gemini as well, and the balance of different areas of yourself, the waters and the fires, the air and the earth, or the feminine and the masculine. All of those dualistic concepts that come with Gemini to balance those out so they can flow like the sun and the moon. And with that, the bottom of the deck was number 1, the Conjure Woman in this deck, which is the Magician and Manifestation. And here are all these roses and all these blessings and all this divine kind of mastery on earth. Balance of all the 4 of these areas we looked at today, of the physical, of the mental, emotional, and of the spirit and the soul. So you're looking for this mastery of all of those areas, and in it you're looking to purify and grow and find all the connections that support that growth you're on, and learn to release those connections, those concepts, those ways of thinking and viewing yourself and viewing the world for you that just don't fit with that growth anymore, and then you can shift paradigms. Okay, so much blessings and so much luck, so much good fortune with that. If you keep going, you keep purifying, you're on the right path, and day to day it will change and it will shift as the world shifts, as you shift, as you learn different things in all of these areas of your being. Okay, I love you, I believe in you. Namaste.